I was just a typical kid, did dumb kid stuff. 11, 12, 13, I was like, my parents had a collection of little bottles, drinking them, skating, just a typical kid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Never got caught. We used to throw like those little seeds with the spikes. We used to throw them at cars. Just, normal teenage stuff. And then my friend Robert brought that CD, and I heard it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It was loud, it was fast, it was violent, and it was what I felt inside, but on record. And we listened to that band, and then we listened to other bands, and I was like, this is dope. And I remember one night, my buddy was like, you want to go to a show? I was like, yeah, let's go. So we went to a concert. I'll never forget that first hardcore concert, because I'd been to punk rock concerts before, but hardcore and punk rock are so different. And I went to a show, and that was it, dude. It was just like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I fit in. You can express yourself. You can go from one end of the wherever the show was at. It was probably a garage, a pizza parlor, anywhere, dude. Skate shops, and you go one into another, just moshing hard. You get out of there drenched in sweat. All your demons have been exercised.
And before, you said, what music was it that you used to listen to before?
Like crappy punk rock and pop punk, and it was just
And then this
radio
new
punk.
stuff was what?
Hardcore.
Hardcore.
It's just the way to name, just hardcore, like hardcore metal, hardcore punk, hardcore everything.
And before, you would enjoy the music, but this was a whole different experience.
This was something else, dude. This was like, I'd never heard anything like that before. I'd never heard anybody scream like that on video.
And this is just the music, not even going to the show. You already felt that way about it.
Yeah, I heard it in my friend Robert's living room. We put it on, CD player, and I was just tripped. I was like, dude, what are these guys doing? What is this? And I just felt like that was an expression. That was an expression that I needed to get out. Like, you ever sit in your car and you just grasp the thing, just have to let it out. That was it.
And then that show amplified.
100%. I went to the show, and everybody was just going nuts, dude. I mean, side to side. It was at the Chain Reaction in Anaheim, and it was incredible. And so going to shows opens up the window to other bands. So you start listening to other bands, and you start seeing a trend in these bands. There was a lot of like positivity, stick up for yourself, stick together. And that was how I was introduced to straight edge. I was like, what is this straight edge,
So there was a hardcore, and then there was a straight edge.
Yeah, hardcore, straight edge, hardcore. And you would go to shows, and you'd see these kids with X's on their hands. And you're like, what the heck is that? What do they do that? And it all comes from like, you ever go to a club and you're not 21, they put an X on your hand. They glorified that. So what they did is they put the X's on their hands and say, hey, I'm not drinking. I don't drink. I don't need that trash. Because straight edge started in the 80s, maybe late 70s, bands like Minor Threat, and they put that out there. Like, you don't need drugs, you don't need alcohol, you don't need promiscuous sex to have fun. There's other ways. So it just kind of made sense. And like, it's all about who you hang out with. So one of my friends started saying I'm straight edge. The other one started saying I'm straight edge. The next thing you know, we're a bunch of straight edge kids from Downey. And it was supposed to be positive, but it wasn't.
You didn't have what most people use the alcohol and drugs for, to kind of dull them.
Yeah.
In a sense, you needed something else.
I was never dull.
Yeah,
you
needed an outlet.
Yeah, I never had anything to like, people talk about like dulling the pain, like teenagers and adults. Well, adults, they dull the pain these days with prescription drugs and drinking. Teenagers, it's trying things out, cutting. How many kids we know are doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's a horrible thing, but I have an understanding of it. When I see a kid and they got the bandages on their wrists and they've been cutting themselves, it's not like, don't be an idiot, don't cut yourself. It's more like, hey, let's talk about how you can channel that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's such a popular thing, I mean, every kid's tried it. I tried it. I was like, oh, see what that feels like. Damn, that really hurts. But it didn't do anything to me. It never did that,
And so what activities did you guys do through this straight edge pump that was that outlet for you, that helped you cope with what you were going through at that time?
Going to a mosh pit and just letting it all out, dude. But I'm so amped up, I never let it out. And so I'd leave and there'd be some kind of trigger, you know, like a kid. It was always like a punk rocker with like a mohawk or something like that. That we didn't look like that.
This
you
was
know?
after the mosh pitting.
Yeah,
You still
yeah.
had all that
You'd
energy.
see him and he'd be
Yeah.
like drinking a beer or something and be like, hey, let's beat this kid up. And that's where it started. That was it. Like a little bit of trouble, beating a kid up, you know? And my friends were straight edge. They were doing things around straight edge that didn't represent what we were looking for, like a good positive outlook. They were doing graffiti. They were trying to do graffiti. They were just kids, you know? They were beating up kids. They were, you know, jumping kids. And it just didn't make sense, dude. It was twisted. And the only way that I knew how to like express myself was in that mosh pit, I guess, just rage. I needed to channel it and I didn't know how to channel it.
And all things go in a mosh pit?
Pretty much, yeah. All things go. And we're a little bit different. We have a little bit more style than like, you see like a triple, like if you go to a Rage Against the Machine show, you just see a bunch of dudes, you know, going around in a circle, moving around. If you were to watch like a hardcore show and you see that, you're like, what? It's a different world. It's really hard to explain unless you're really into it, you know, but it was fun and it was violent and it, you know, it got us in trouble, and at the end of the day, I won't take it back for anything.
Yeah, no doubt.
I won't take anything back.
And how long are you doing that for?
We were going to shows until maybe like 19-ish or something, and things started to get crazy. Is just like in every community, you get a lot of bad seeds, and there were some bad seeds in the hardcore community, and these guys like
the straight edge.
They were like real tough guys, like big tough guys. And dude, at 19 years old, I never lifted a weight, never did anything. I was a small dude, and we got beat up big. We got beat up big time by a group of dudes, and it wasn't even our fault or anything. It was, these shows were just a reason to fight.
So
fighting. It's always been fighting.
Tell us about that particular story. How did that come about?
This was a good one, dude, and it's all because of my friend Joe V. Joe V's getting into a fight outside of a show for whatever reason. Somebody stepped on his sneakers, somebody said something to him, somebody had said something to him somehow, whatever. So Joe and this guy were squaring up, and as they were squaring up, this big guy, I'll never forget him, I forget his name, he was a real big guy, probably like 6'4", 6'5". He's like pushing me. I was like, hey man, chill, that's my friend. I'm just trying to be here for my friend. And he started getting real aggressive with me. But that big guy was part of a gang. There was a gang out there. And a straight edge gang, and they're all over the nation. There's like, you know, they were on Dateline and shit like that. And they, one of the guys in that gang saw me and that big guy kind of bickering, and I got rocked, dude, from the side. Boom.
Someone sucker punched you?
Yeah, sucker punched me, and I don't remember really what happened, but I was on the ground and I heard someone saying, "Gus, just stay down," but. Like I said, I always had this little fire, and I just got up and just get beat up by 5 or 6 dudes, and my lip was split open. My friend Matt almost got his shoes taken off of him. Luckily, he was able to keep them because they were dope, Nike SBs.
And they were trying to punk him for his shoes?
Yeah, they were trying to punk him for his shoes, and that day, we had been in fights before, but the way that fight happened and why it happened kind of changed my perspective. I was like, man, this is getting sour. There's something not right. And so it was less shows, and it kind of turned into more parties. And it was a good excuse to hang out. But when you get out of the straight edge element and you start going to the parties, you start seeing other things you've never seen before. And I started seeing people drinking and smoking and doing drugs. And when I was young, I had seen drugs all the time. I smoked weed when I was 11 years old. My friend Maggie's house with her brother, I was like, what is this? I'll try it. And I smoked it, and I was like, that was weird. I'm not doing that again. I remember seeing cocaine at the skating rink when I was like 10 years old. Dude, these big kids I used to hang out with. They're like, hey, you want to try this? I was like, no. All right. Can you be the lookout? Make sure no one comes. So I'd be right there as the lookout every weekend. We go to the skating rink, and I was the lookout. These guys would just get twisted. So I'd seen drugs and then didn't really see it through the punk rock years. And then just going into parties, I would see it. I was like, man, this is trippy. What are these guys doing? My perspective of drugs started changing a little bit because who you hang out with really, changes you. And it was 20 or 21 years old. I went to Mexico with my friends, and it was my best friends. And these are the guys, these guys weren't into punk rock or anything. And we were at a bar in Mexico, and they were like, "Guys, drink." And I was like, "No, I don't drink."
Nah, just take a shot.
Take a shot. Like, "Nah, I don't drink, dude." And they all got fucked up. Part of my friends, but obliterated, right? And we go back to the house, and we cook, and we eat. The next day I woke up, and I didn't drink that night, but the next day I woke up and I said, you know what? What's more important to me than straight edge or than fitting in is doing what I want to do. And I saw my friends last night, they had the time of their life. I want to do that too. So that night I decided to drink. And I drank. And then I came back to the States.
Let's go back there real quick, because we were saying 13 to, and you're saying you first had a drink, was it 18? Or when you started to drink?
Yeah, like 21. I mean, I drank when I was young, like 9, 10, 11, 12, like messing around.
That Mexico trip.
And Mexico 21? Just kind of like introduced me to drinking. And it was kind of innocent. It wasn't crazy, like we had a good time. We had a great time.
Not like all the other Mexico stories here.
Yeah, it was good. We got twisted and had fun. And I was already 20 years old, so I was already a man, Well, so, I thought I was a man.
But what I want to get into is between your punk rock, the straight edge, you were around them, and you never had that the inkling to drink.
Oh, there was a birdie. There was a little birdie that said, "Hey, dude, you should drink. It's fun. You should drink."
But it was because all your friends didn't. That's what helped you not do it.
100%.
And then simply being in a different environment, surrounded by different people.
100%. I could not deny that. Being around my friends who I was with, and it was with my best friend. To this day, he's my best friend. I love him. I'm not ever going to be like, it's your fault that I started drinking. No, dude, it was my fault that I started drinking. And so I drank in Mexico. It was fun. It was innocent. We danced, we partied, and then I came home and I faced reality of like, oh man, the friends I hang out with the most on the weekends, I have something to tell them. And so...
Which was who? Those were
all my straight edge punk rock friends, And so we went to a party, and one of my friends was leaving to go buy beer because we were starting to mingling with friends who were not straight edge, And I told him, I was like, "Hey, will you get me a Newcastle?" And they looked at me like, "What, dude?" I was like, "Get me a Newcastle." He's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." So I pulled out whatever money I had in my pocket, gave it to him. And he came back, he gave me a Newcastle, and I remember being in the house, and it was at my friend Stephanie's house. And I remember being in the house and knowing, I was like, this is going to be crazy. And everyone was outside, and I walked outside, and my five best buds who were straight edge, maybe 2 of them had started drinking already on their own, doing their thing. And I said, "Hey," and they looked at me, I go, I don't know what I said, but I said something like, I was always straight edge because I always wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. This is what I want to do. And I remember I took a drink out of Newcastle, all poetic, like I've always been the poet, that's my style, I like that,
But you're making a statement.
I made a statement and I drank, and some of my friends were like, "What?" Some of my other friends were like, "Yeah," And I drank and had a good time. And the next day I got a phone call from my friend Matt, who's my friend to this day, and he called me and goes, "Hey man, I think I'm gonna drink too." And I was like, "Oh shit."
Because he was straight edge riding alongside you.
Mm-hmm. It's all about your friends, man. If you think that your friends do not influence you, you're wrong.
No matter how much you want to tell yourself that.
Nah, no, you're lying. You're lying. My friends influence me today, to this day. We'll talk about that later. Mm-hmm. But sitting at this table with 2 monsters in jiu-jitsu, you guys motivate me every day. You beat me up one day, you motivate me to beat you up the next day, and that's.
I agree.
Friendship is everything. So that point right there started a real wild roller coaster of being 21 to 25. That was crazy.
Starting at house parties, and it kept like that, innocent, having fun. But I mean, I know been a drinker many years myself. Where did you see that end up taking you, as far as where you were now being in situations where you wouldn't have been if you weren't drinking or you weren't doing drugs? You were around people you wouldn't normally be around. Tell us some of that.
So, I started martial arts at 17. And I would find myself where I should be concentrating on training, because I've always been a gym rat.
Mm-hmm.
I never paid for training because that's what I do. I weasel my way in. Let me clean the mats.
Barter it up?
Let me clean the mats. No. Hey, dude, mats are dirty. Let me clean the mats. I clean the mats, and then there it is, And all my coaches have always been the best. I look up to those guys to this day. I think they're the best men in my life, you know? And I should have been training hard. I should have been waking up early to do my running and my conditioning. But I was drinking and I was hungover, and I'd go to training the next night recovering from a hangover, and it was just oil and water, man. And it was a battle. And, you know, those years of drinking, I should have been focusing on what today is my number one priority. But I didn't know better. I didn't have the exposure young. I was doing something different. And when I took that sip of alcohol and I had that high five all around, yeah, let's get messed up, blah, 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 that feeling, I was like, dang, this is fun, you know? And it took me down a really bad like course, you know? So it was like trying to live two lives, dude. I was the only one out of my friends that was training. I had another friend that started training later on, but I was the only one. That was one thing I always had. You know, my friends all kind of did their own things on the side, like sneakers or graffiti or motorcycles. Me was MMA, you know?
So you had your friends outside, and then you had your gym family friends?
Oh, yeah. And for me, and I'm not going to say this is for everyone, but for me, it's really hard to put them together. It's really hard to do that, you know, and especially as a young, you know, 21, 22, trying to figure out where I'm at in my life. I guess I'm a late bloomer, you know. Maybe if I would have drank at 14, 15, I would have got it out of me, and life would have started at 18, 19, but drinking got me into partying. And we used to not party in our city. We used to party in all the cities around our cities, because Downey is a cool spot. Downey is, you know, it's a nice place, but everything around Downey is rough. So we would party in Bell Gardens, Bellflower, Paramount, Southgate, Compton, Linwood, Inglewood. And there's influences, you know? And that's when I was introduced to cocaine. And I was like, what is this? I'm Cuban. I'll Tony Montana this. I thought it was cool, you know?
So you had seen it before around 10 in the skating ring, but this time
your
was mentality was different.
Yeah, this time I was, I can do that, you know? And yeah, man, that was a year straight. That was a year straight, and that was like, who you're hanging out with really influences you. And it just so happens that someone I hung out with made their income off of the drug. So
easy access.
It's always there. It was always there. And then dulling the pain made sense. I'd never known how to dull the pain, you know? Drinking started to dull the pain. Women started to dull the pain. It could never be one. It was always two or three, you know?
And at that time, were you able to pinpoint where your pain was coming from? Could you even register that?
It's anxiety. You know, I was never smart enough to acknowledge and to admit that I suffered from something, you know? And then, you know, I was training, but I wasn't training like I'm training today. I train with monsters today. My ego is non-existent. I mean, I'm flamboyant and obnoxious, and I act like I got a big ego just to test everybody and poke people, you know? Mm-hmm. But there's nothing I need to prove, because at the end of the day, I got to go train with Andrew. I got to go train with Gilbert. I got to go roll with, you know, John Sandoval and get destroyed. There's no ego, but at that point, I had an ego. I thought I was the bee's knees. I thought I was cool, you know?
That big chip on the shoulder.
Oh, big chip on the shoulder. And that ego is the worst thing for a young man, you know? And so that ego, that was tough. I forgot what we were talking about there.
No, you were talking about the pain that you were dulling.
So I had too big of an ego to admit that there was something wrong with me, you know? And now, where I'm at in my life today at 32, I have no problem saying, like, I have a sickness. I have anxiety. I suffer from anxiety and depression, you know, and I've been put on pills. I've been put on many pills. I just said, no.
Tried them, but...
Yeah, I mean, at 32 now, I have my ways of coping with my anxiety. I've figured it out now, but it's taken all this time. It's taken discovering that I even had this problem, right? And discovering it early. And, I mean, maybe the times are changing. Now it's so common. People have so much anxiety these days that it's common. You can tell that my 14-year-old has anxiety. My 10-year-old has anxiety. I mean, people are telling me that their 6-year-old has anxiety. I was 22, 23, 24 years old when I realized, oh man, I have anxiety.
How long did you have it for now that you look back?
My whole life. My whole life I've had this feeling. I didn't know how to, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've looked up in the sky and said, what's wrong with me?
So how sensitive should we be to the kids, the many kids out there that are saying, oh, I'm depressed, or I got anxiety, and most of our adult, our reflexes is say, you don't have nothing to complain about.
It's garbage. It's 100% true, and we should really focus on these kids and figure out, okay, what's wrong? How do you feel? Because if the kid doesn't have anxiety and he tells you how he feels, and you know what anxiety feels like, like I can ask you, what does it feel like? And they'll say something, I'm like, I don't know if you can gauge it. But when you meet somebody who talks about anxiety and they tell you, like, this is what my anxiety feels like, my wife suffers from anxiety. I know what her anxiety feels like. She tells me what hers feels like. She trips on my anxiety because my anxiety feels like, it feels like the world is coming down right now. It feels like my legs hurt. I get in pain, and that one's a trip. And then, my wife always asks me, what do you mean? I'm like, I just hurt. Everything hurts.
Physically.
Physically hurts. My legs hurt. My chest starts to get real tight. And it feels like something bad's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen. And it gets to the point where, as a grown man, I'm putting tears a lot. And it's the only way I can handle it. I just need to be alone, or I need to cry. But, I'm very thankful that I have my formula to help me. And, I get a panic attack 3-4 times a year. I need to let it out. I need to cry. I need to, suffer for a little bit. But at the end of the day, being exhausted, training, the vices I do have, because I'm not perfect. And so some people will think my vices are bad, or some people don't. That's what helps me with my anxiety. Not pills. I'm not taking the pills they want me to take. I'm not saying you shouldn't. Some people should be on medication 100%. But I have found a way to deal with my anxiety, and it's taken a lot of years and a lot of experimenting,
And what can we do as parents to be more aware of that? Because I think the one option is to tell your kids, hey, you're not depressed, you don't have anxiety, you're not feeling these, you don't even know what that stuff is. Or it's like, well, let's put you with a counseling program and go talk to a counselor, which that counselor may have a certificate, a degree, they may mean very well with all their heart, but they've never had anxiety, they never have depression. So what can we do? What are some other outlets as parents that we could say to our kids, well, go try this, go try that?
Well, the answer that everyone will expect from me right now would be get them into a martial arts program, 100%. And I know that will help. I know it'll help. And it's proven. Exercise, eating well, and puppies. Those are the 3 things that can help people with anxiety. It's true.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's a funny little subject. But working out, eating well, and, cute little dogs or something. But I think as parents, when our kids don't look right, or they don't talk right, and we're looking at them and we know there's something wrong, and we question that, we go, is that anxiety? We need to figure that out early, and we need to communicate with the kids, and most of all, we need to respect that. Because, as fathers, we sit here and be like, toughen up. It's easy to say toughen up to a kid when it's a physical injury, like, a scratch, or, a
shake
bruise.
it off.
Shake it off, and I do that to my kids, and I'm gonna do that to my kids forever. And the only, my 6-year-old, my eldest, is the one that I can see, like, emotional waves coming. And I have to look at it and go, oh, snap, this isn't a physical injury. I cannot tell her to shake it off, I have to be respectful of that. She might be sad, She's lately been talking about sadness because of death. And she never met her grandfather, but my wife's father, grandpa. But she talks about, I'm really sad. I go, what are you sad about? She goes, oh, about No dying, And I'm like, where does this come from? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it just a made up little situation? But my wife and I respect it. And we tell her, hey, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be sad and to know that he's gone to a better place. Where when I first heard her say that, the only thing I ever wanted to say was, stop, you didn't even meet him. You don't even know. You're just being a drama queen, You're just being dramatic. No, man, there can be real anxiety there. And I don't know how to tell her if it's real or not. I don't know yet. I have to acknowledge it, respect it, and cater to it as a dad. I have to give her love, and that's all I have. Love, that's it.
Yeah, so speaking about being a dad and your daughter Livia, you were in no way, shape, or form at that age of 24, 25 to say, hey, I want to start a family and,
Oh,
and
no,
I'm
man.
going to do that. And
No. You can't start a family doing drugs, drinking, and having 3 or 4 girlfriends at the same time.
but
Doesn't work.
But you could have a lot of kids like that, but you're not going to want to.
No,
Yeah.
and, you know, I did my best to not have kids because I knew I couldn't take care of myself. I mean, all I did every day was lie. I lied to everybody. I lied to my parents. I'm not getting messed up. I lied to my coaches. I'm not getting messed up. I lied to my girlfriends. I'm not getting messed up and, you know, having another girl on the side. And I'm not proud of that, but I will say it honestly. That's who I was and that's what I did, you know. That made me who I am today. And so, no, I was no way, shape, or form ready to be a father, you know. And, you know.
And although you weren't, it ended up happening.
Yeah, and it happened.
Walk us down that path, because if you're 21 to 25, you're partying, and now you got cocaine, and you're going around all the different cities. How did the miracle happen for you?
You know, some people say God, some people say Creator, some people say just a coincidence, or some people say I made a mistake. But sometimes you make a mistake that turns into the best one ever, you know? And I just got out of my city for a night with a small group of my friends and said, let's just do something new. Let's just get out.
Left Downey for the night?
Yeah, we just like, let's just do something new. Like, we've been, you know, I've been drinking at a bar for a while. I spent like 1.5 years at the same bar drinking on a Friday night. And I was just really depressed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just depressed, breakups, just, you know, I tried things, failures in martial arts, you know, losing a fight just set me off on a horrible, you know, path. And I just knew inside, something inside told me. And that's called intuition. And I think people really need to listen to their intuition, because it could be God, it could be anything, you know?
Whatever it is, listen to it.
So I went out, and I met a girl. And I really thought the girl was the bee's knees, man. I said, this girl's the prettiest girl I've ever seen in my life, you know? And I met a girl, and I remember coming home, and I even told my mom, because I lived at home. I didn't need to leave, bro. I had the best setup. I had like my own downstairs, a bed. It was bad. But I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I met a girl, and she's awesome. You know?
When you met her, you guys talked 10, 15 minutes, hello, you guys
Well, there was a lot of
night together.
Well, I was just being Mr. Smooth, you know?
Yeah.
So her friends were at
That's
the table.
we all know.
Mr. Smooth. Charisma, that's it.
Uh-huh.
Mr. You know, I just put on my charm, you know? Because I knew, I was like, this isn't the kind of girl I could get. This girl's out of my league, you know? Once she starts realizing...
When she catches on?
Once she catches on that I don't have shit. I don't got nothing. I don't have any money. I don't have a fancy car. Nothing. But I had faith in myself, you know? And I said, I'm going to talk to this girl. So I gave her the candle that was on our desk. We had a table. We had a table, and they were sitting at a table next to us. And like they were trying to, oh, we need a candle. And I overheard it. I was
So
like,
you heard your intro. You heard your chant.
there you go. You can have this one, you know? And we started talking. And long story short, I don't need to, you know, get into detail or whatever. But, you know, we exchanged phone numbers. And she had about, let's say the DJ, the bartender, this guy looked like he had a lot of money, and some other gentlemen. They were all playing this game of like, let's go talk to her, let's go talk to her, let's go talk. Everyone wanted to talk to her because she was real pretty, you know. And she told me, she's like, hey, I'd really like to talk to you, but I'm sorry, you know. She kind of gave me that look like. And I said, it's all good, I understand. Of course I'm gonna understand. You're out of my league, girl. Everyone wants to talk to you. The DJ wants to talk to you. The bartender wants to talk to you. But I don't know if any of them got her number, but I did. And so, you know, I sent her a message that day, and then we hung out. We hung out on a date. We went on a date, and it was great. I actually was so overwhelmed. I was like, how did I pull this off? And then it got wild. So we went on another couple of dates, and then she got pregnant. And it was like, oh, how did I get through 13 to 21 of just mayhem and never have this thing kind of happen, you know?
And then shit got real.
And shit got really real fast. And, you know, like my friends and, you know, situations, I don't, you know, this is a touchy subject, but a lot of people who go through this at 18 to 21, they get pregnant or something, it's real easy. You go to Planned Parenthood, you take care of it. You're like, okay, I'm good, move on. But it just never was an option, really. And I remember, and, you know, I remember.
For her or for you or both of you?
For her.
Okay.
I remember talking to her and going, look, let's make it work. We were in love for a second. And just like we were in love and we met so quickly, boom, it was done. She wanted nothing to do with me. She didn't know who I was. She said, I don't know who you are. You're just some guy from LA. You knocked me up. I need space. And at that point I realized, oh man, I messed up. So my attitude changed from let's be together and make this work out to like, maybe you shouldn't keep this baby. It's not a good idea. We're not working out. You don't want to talk to me, blah, blah, blah. She made it clear that she was going to keep the baby, you know? So I went back and I said, okay, well then you and I need to get along. We need to figure this out. We might not be together, but we'll figure it out. And I don't know why, but I really thought that was a logical thing in my brain. Like, we'll make it work out, you know? Guess it was ego.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not the way it worked. She left LA. She was living in LA. She left LA, moved to Santa Barbara, and it was crickets. Send messages, emails, nothing. And that was the scariest moment of my life. Because now I knew that there was a person that wanted to, there was a person to be born in this world of me. And I needed to take care of that person, right? And so I remember going on a camping trip with my guy friends during this time, and something told me to look up, and I looked up at the stars, and I was just kind of like, and I'm not the most religious person, but I remember kind of saying like, hey man, I need some help. Like, I'm done fighting. Like, give me some guidance, you know? And I got a text message that night from her, and it was like hope. It was like, hey, just letting you know, everything is going good. I'll let you know when the baby's, when we're gonna have our first ultrasound. And it gave me hope, dude. And I didn't get to go to the ultrasound. She never called, and that was devastating, you know?
So you had that hope for that period of time.
And I was still in love with her for a minute. I was like, I'm in love with her. But then that killed hope 100%. And I said, all right, you want to play that game? Let's go. So that guy at 21, 22 years old doing drugs, doing everything, that ego was blown up, man. I'd never been bigger in my life. And I said, this is me time. I'm going to take care of me. But it wasn't drinking and it wasn't drugs. It was training. And I said, I need to take care of me.
Why training this time? What?
Because I knew it was the only good thing I could do at the time. It was what I loved doing more than anything, and it was good for me. Drugs were no longer good for me. Drinking was no longer good for me. And, I was just getting in trouble with girls. It's just been a pattern of getting in trouble with girls. So I tried not to have any girls, but, I fell into a relationship during this time, and said, hey, I have a girl who's pregnant with my baby. Are you willing to still be with me? And they supported that, So my life started to take a little bit of shape. And at that point, I said, my future is, I have a child in Santa Barbara. I'm training here. And this is when I was having some of the best training, man. I really saw it at that moment. I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, the more I separate myself from partying and drinking and training, I'm seeing a clearer picture. My life is starting to see clear, and I started to see things clear. I got a great job, getting paid more money than I've ever gotten in my life. I had great training partners. My relationship was going well. Everything was groovy, man. And it was all because I just said, I'm going to dedicate my focus on me. Because I've already messed everything up. I need to clean myself up. And it all for me was training. I was training, trying to be, trying to be strong enough for the day that child is born. I was expecting a phone call, the baby's born, or hey, the baby's going to be, we're going to have a C-section.
A shred of hope was in there still.
Oh yeah, and it was a shred of hope of like, hey, like, we're going to have to be good, right?
Gotta be civil.
But, we're in the day of social media. And I was posting pictures and images, and I don't ever put anything private. Everything's public in my life. That's why I am who I am. And so baby mama can see all my pictures. She sees everything I'm doing. So when I sent her paperwork for visitation for the baby, before the baby was even born, because I was kind of trying to spite her, you know, she used all of my social media as fuel. Here's a picture of him smoking a joint. Here's a picture of him drinking. He has a girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. And so the battle began. And it was a really tough battle. We fought in and out of court for months, to the point where her lawyer told her, don't talk to me, it's just trouble. And it was bad, and the baby hadn't even been born. So I asked for paternity. I said, that baby's not even mine. Just being crazy, you know? And so then kind of put everything on standstill. Nothing could happen until the baby's born, but, you know, baby mama said, I'll let you know when the baby's born.
At that time, were you hoping that test came back saying she wasn't yours?
Oh my God, I've never prayed harder in my life. And I thought about 100 ways how to change the test, pay someone to change the test. I don't know. It's not my kid.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. I had mixed feelings because I felt like that, but at the same time, I'd lay in bed at nighttime and go, I want that kid. I want that kid. That's my kid, you know? And so one night, after a night of partying with my friends and my girlfriend and drinking and everything, we come home. My dad's sitting in his chair, and all my friends know my dad has a throne. It's the same chair. He's had the same chair forever, the throne, you know? And my dad's sitting there, and my sister's right behind him. They go, you need to look at this. And it's me and all my friends. I go, what's up? And they show me a picture. And I go, what's that? And it's a baby. And I go, what's that? And my dad goes, that's supposed to be your daughter. And my friends all look, and you hear like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Whoa. And my sister Michelle, who's an angel, she goes, that's not your baby. And I look, and you know, I'm very light skinned. That baby was real dark. And I said, that is not my baby. That's not my baby. That's not my baby.
Stoked.
Stoked.
Yeah.
It turned into a celebration. I was like, wow, that's not my baby. Well, I was wrong, dude. Paternity test came in 99.999%. That's my baby. And I still didn't have this attachment, really. I knew I wanted to be involved. It was kind of cool. I got a baby now, blah, blah, blah. You know, baby mama, me and her, you know, we don't talk, but my girlfriend's supportive. And I got visitation, 30 minutes on Fridays in Santa Barbara. So I would drive from LA to Santa Barbara, see the baby for 30 minutes. But that was it. That was it. That's all it took, man. I'll never forget that day. I walked in, it was at a house. It was at somebody's house.
Very first visit?
Yeah, I'll never forget that. And it was the first visit. My mom and dad came with me. We came up here, and I just had that, you know, that feeling. Friday night football game,
Yeah.
right? Wrestling match, jiu-jitsu tournament, butterflies. And I walk up to the house, and my parents are like, oh, you guys wait in the car. Let me go in there for 10 minutes, and you guys come in. I go, all right. And I open up the door, and 30 minutes later, I walked out of that door, and all of that, all the anxiety, all the drugs, the partying, being lost was gone. Gone, man. It was like I was born again. I was new, and nothing was going to stop me. I was going to be her dad no matter what. And that was it. I came up every Friday, and it was my life. Just my child. Thought about, how can I do this? How can I make this work? How can I manipulate her mom to be friends with me? How can I do this? And I was obsessed. And when this was happening, my relationship ended because my attention was no longer in my relationship. My attention was in my daughter in Santa Barbara. And I had no love for baby mama at all. I had no love for anybody except for me and the baby. And that was it. And, you know, I came up here, and I knew that there was Paragon Jiu-Jitsu here, you know. And this is on visitation. I came and visited, and I was just kind of lost. And I remember telling Adam, I met Coach Adam, and he's like, hey, what's up, man? What's your name? I was like, I'm Gus. And I was like, dude, I got a girl pregnant, and the baby's here, and I really want to train here, and I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should live here. I should, and you know,
And let it all out.
Paragon people would know. Adam just looked at me like, damn, bro, you need to chill. But I didn't have mentors. You know, my coach, I love him to death. My coach down south, I love him to death. But he doesn't have any kids. He never endured any of this. He just shut up and train. Shut up and train. Shut up and train. I was just looking for a mentor, man. I was looking for someone to support me, you know. And then somehow my wife, baby mama, realizes what have I done? I mean, I was persistent, and I tried, and I did everything I could. And she put the moves on me. And like the weak man I am, I gave in.
It was never in your intention, right? You weren't like most guys who would have been, well, I'll use my daughter as a way to get in and get back with the old lady. It was the opposite. You were totally in love with your daughter, which then in turn, you don't see that quality, unfortunately, a lot in this certain predicament. But in this case, you were there for your daughter. Have you talked to Danielle? Is that what attracted her to you, or what exactly was it?
During the visitations, at first they were like visitations with another person, right? And both Danielle and I had our separate relationships. I mean, she had been seeing somebody, I've been seeing somebody, and we were separate, But I think once we got out of that element, Danielle said, "Hey, we should just do visitation, just you, me, and the baby." So we went out to lunch a couple of times, and I think that she showed that I was desperate to be a dad, And I think where her words are, she fell in love with me. She fell in love with not the guy I was, but the guy that I had become because of the position that had happened where I became a father, And a lot of people say, this is just all turmoil. Yeah, man, my life started because of turmoil. I was lost and I was found. And, we ended up being together. I never asked her father for a hand in marriage. I told her father I was going to marry her because, I was coming up here and we decided we were going to live together, and everyone said, maybe you guys shouldn't live together. And I said, no. We've already done everything wrong. We're going to keep doing things wrong. And I said, hey, let's do this, So I asked her to marry me on a Monday. She married me on Friday. We got married a week later. She was going to move to LA. I got a U-Haul and said, nope, I'm moving to Santa Barbara. I can move to Santa Barbara. And I said, all right, this is where I'm going to start my life, I got a job, and I knew I needed to train. But I was still kind of like trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, I got the baby. I got the girl. All this craziness. I got the baby, I got the girl, but something's missing. And I couldn't afford to train. I go to the gym just like everybody else says, oh, I can't afford to train. Well, I said, I'm going to do this. So every check, $200 I put away. $200 I put away. $200 I put away.
Made it happen.
Put away, and I made, I think it was like $1,300, right? $1,400. And I remember going to Paragon. This is Blue Mat Paragon,
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I really want to train here, and I have cash. Can I pay up for a year? Listen, cash is king. We all know that, right? Boom, signed up for a year.
Yeah.
Started training, started meeting great people. And that's when everything started. All of it right there. That was when I knew that I had worked so hard to be where I am today. And I hadn't even started yet building what I built today,
But you could feel it.
I could feel it. I was sad because I left my kickboxing team. I was sad because I left my friends who were great. I love them, but just got in trouble. I was sad because I was away from my parents. I was sad but I knew that being here, being at Paragon, was something big, and I knew that this is where I was meant to be, and it was, and then it started from there.
And how has it continued? Like you said, when you became a father, that's when you felt the big shift that you became a man. But listening to your story, and martial arts played a big part in that, because you would have never got to that point without it being a part of your life. So how does it continue? What positive does it still bring to you day in and day out?
So I feel like being a father is water, and being a coach and training in martial arts is food. You need both of them, For me, when I got the opportunity to coach, and it just happened, just by chance. They needed someone to cover a class.
Just by being there.
And I was like, guys, I've been kickboxing for a long time. I swear, I know what I'm doing. I got the best coaches in the world, because I moved to Paragon and wasn't kickboxing. I was just doing jiu-jitsu, and I didn't really know the kickboxing coaches, nothing, but they needed someone to cover a class. And I just said, I can do it, And like, okay, if I did. And I covered a class, and that was it. Exploded from there. And martial arts, coaching, has given me not just, the ability to live in Santa Barbara. My job is coaching. My job is Paragon. My job is to coach. But it's given me relationships outside of the ones I've already had. A coach isn't just there to make his, his little money and show off his cool moves.
Not a big paycheck. Yeah.
No. It's like, hey, check out these cool moves that I know. No, man. I'm a therapist. I'm a coach. I'm a friend. To think me, I'm a mentor, because I'm a mentor to people, that has fueled me more than anything has ever fueled me in my life. I did privates today, and hearing people talk to me in the privates, it's not all fight oriented or martial arts oriented. We are family. Someone was expressing to me today about how they lost their father. They don't need to tell me that. Why do they tell me that? Someone the other day told me about their separation from their wife. They need to let it out. And this all stems back to anxiety. I never trained because I wanted to be a world champion fighter. I never trained because I wanted to, I trained because, at first I wanted to learn a little self-defense, but I trained because I realized that made me feel good. And when I was feeling anxious, that took it away. And I would say, whoa, what's going on here? I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't mature enough to figure it out. Now, I'll coach in the morning, coach in the afternoon, I'll do a private, I'll coach in the evening, I'll do jiu-jitsu at nighttime, or maybe in the morning when I go home at nighttime and I start feeling that anxiety feeling. I don't have the energy to be anxious anymore. That's my formula. That's what helps me. And I swear by that formula, and I'll sell that formula to anybody. When people tell me, hey, I'm really anxious, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I said, listen, I'm going to tell you what has worked for me, and I can almost 99.999% guarantee that this formula will help you. And I don't know anything else that's ever worked better than this. The medicine didn't work, the drugs didn't work, the alcohol didn't work, the women didn't work. This works.
This works. So get in there and try it.
Get in here and try. I'll never change. I'm never going to do anything else. For the rest of my life, I'm going to be in a gym, Paragon number 2, Paragon number 3, my Paragon, moving on. Anywhere I go, this is my life. This is what I want to do. Not because it makes me a lot of money. It's because it makes me feel good. It takes away the anxiety. I'm in a win-win situation. I'm getting treatment. I'm surviving. It gives me the opportunity to do the most important job in my life, and that's be a good dad. 3 kids later now. And my kids, they go to the gym. They're at the gym. Otis just started jiu-jitsu himself. I mean, we are a martial arts family. If I cannot stress enough what martial arts has done for me. It's always been there. It's always been like, come on, man.
Yeah, come back, Gus.
Same thing, like your friend goes, hey, man, try this. Mm-hmm. Try this. Come on, man, try it. And you do it, and guess what? Negative. And nobody's going to tell me something negative about martial arts, Maybe, hey, you should try sparring. Maybe, that's one thing, Sparring, you get rattled in the head a little bit, but martial arts has been the most essential part of my life, for sure. And, I say it a lot. People think I'm joking, but I say it. The things I love the most in the world are my wife and my kids. But you know what I love more than my wife and my kids? Is martial arts. People are like, damn, you're an asshole. How could you say that? I go, because without martial arts, I could never be a father or a husband. I could never be a friend to the people that I have. And now, the friends that I have now are all from Paragon. Because we share a common interest. We all share, common passion. And we're all different, and that's my favorite part, You hang out with some people from Paragon, they look one way, talk one way. Other people from Paragon, they look one way, talk one way. I mean, and we're all there together. Where else in the world are you going to get ex-convicts, lawyers, cops together in the same place?
Having a good old time, yep.
I mean, it's magic.
And you and I, Andrew, my brother, and my company and my family, we're all working together to create a program for teens. And one of the things that we'll be teaching is mixed martial arts, which you'll be heading.
And I can't be more excited.
That's exciting to think about. What can kids look forward to if they join the program and they're getting coached by Coach Gus?
So one thing I'd like to do is make sure to acknowledge the, what these kids are in search of, because a lot of these kids, they don't know what they want to do. And I'm a product of that. I didn't know what to want to do until it fell on my lap. All I, was be a dad. I didn't know what to do. If we can acknowledge that early, I think we can really, build these kids up and give them a foundation. And the one thing is, maybe it was a lack of confidence. Maybe it was, I don't know what it was, but I think that martial arts is going to give these kids, and I see it all the time, and we all see it at the gym. You see this little kid come in, and there was about 13, 14 years old in the team program.
Mm-hmm.
They come in scrawny, gis too big, belts tied funny, and you look 3 years later, and that gi fits them really good, and that belt is tied perfect with the diamond knot, and it's got a couple stripes on it now, and they walk with their shoulders up a little bit, and they got the confidence to say, all right, I'll scrap with you. I'll scrap with a grown man, The first time you see these two teenagers grappling, they don't know how to put their chest on another person's chest. Next thing you know, they're, head to head, guillotines, everything. And I love to see that. I think that my goal for the program is to teach these kids that there's an outlet outside of drugs, alcohol, and trouble. There's a party there. There's a party for you. You want a party? I have a party for you. It's every day, Monday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. I go to a party. And I get to go home and I get to wake up the next day and feel okay. And I want to let these kids know that it's fun to do martial arts. It's fun to be part of a family. And it's incredible to be able to express yourself through a martial art. Whatever you are, you're a weird dude. If you're a weird dude, be a weird grappler. I feel like everybody's grappling personality matches up with their actual personality. Myself, Coach John always asks me, what was that movie you just did? I don't know, I just made it up. What? Well, dude, I'm not the most normal guy, so my grappling is not very normal, If anybody's ever grappled with Andrew, I think his grappling and his personality is pretty dang similar. Straight to the point.
Yeah.
Right?
I got you on that one.
Gilbert's grappling is the same, dude. You're a hard grappler. Try hard. You want to shut Gilbert down? You're going to try to shut Gilbert down? You're going to have to kill him. And it's a good way for kids to express themselves, because I feel like in 2019, kids are dying to express themselves more than ever. And it's another way of expressing yourself safely with people around that love you, Like, I love all my training partners. I have love for everybody that steps on the mat. Don't get me wrong, man. There's people that step on the mat, like, man, this guy's a dick.
Mm-hmm.
He's always trying to put me to sleep. But at the same time, I'm thankful for that gentleman, because if he's not trying to put me to sleep and test who I am, the next guy on the street might be able to put me to sleep. So the family aspect, the family, hard work. It's just, for me, it's hard work, dedication, and those things, hard work and dedication to the gym is so valuable. It gives kids a purpose. And we see it most in the team program. We got the little kids rolling around, they look funny. They don't know anything. They don't know their left hand from their right hand.
Yeah.
They're just having fun. But the adults, you see it too, if you ever speak to John Sandoval, he's really good at observing these individuals who come in with lack of confidence and building them up. It's amazing, and I look at that and John's one of my mentors on and off the mat, But the teenagers, if you observe the teenagers, they're incredible. And I think that we'll really benefit by getting some of those teenagers in the program in here and talking, and letting us know their problems and their issues, what 2019 is like for a teenager. But like, you see a kid like Harry Sneddon, curly hair,
redhead.
Yeah, big old tall kid, nicest kid in the world, right? He would get smashed by Baron Katrina, and you'd see him get all red faced and maybe teary-eyed or something, because he was a scrawny little kid. Now Harry is taller than all of us. He walks on the mat with his long hair, and he's not putting it up. You know why? Because he doesn't want to put it up. Because he's a grappler now, and he does what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, with confidence.
And
These
if you got something to say about it, say it.
And that's what I love about our community, is we get together, and you might think one thing, and I might think another thing, and we can argue about it, Gil, and go, well, we don't come to an agreement. Let's go grapple.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way we're going to grapple and get mad after it. We're going to What were we arguing about again?
So what do the kids, for the kids who think you have to be a certain way or a certain type of kid, what's the criteria for a kid who wants to train? Do they need to be a certain personality?
You gotta be able to breathe, and you gotta be able to wake up. That's it, man. There's no personality for this. It's a perfect example is get 10 people at Paragon, put them in a line, and trip out.
And come in and see it.
Whoa.
For your own eyes.
For your own eyes. You'll never in the world find a group of people working together to get better than in a martial arts academy. There's so much separation in this world today. The media is pushing, you gotta be this, you gotta be that. Race is a big issue. So many people arguing about race. Religion is an issue. When you step onto the mat, none of that matters. And we know that.
Mm-hmm.
We know that as adults, we can acknowledge it. The little kids don't acknowledge it, they don't get it. But the teenagers, we're building these teenagers who would never be friends on campus. They're starting to respect each other and love each other. And it's kind of like, I don't know what their life is like at school, but I'm pretty sure when one of the teenagers passes by another teenager, they look at each other and they probably just give each other like, hey man, I got you, you got me. And we're creating a family like it doesn't exist, anywhere else in the world.
So no kid has an excuse to say that's not for me.
No.
They could breathe, they could wake up, they
train.
fit in. They will fit in.
I mean, we can do a lineup and we could put, Ernie standing next to Gilbert, standing next to Morgan, standing next to Gus.
Yeah.
4 body types, 4 people, 4 different, We're all brothers. We all grapple, and we, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, it's all the same. You express yourself through your martial art. I can't do the same things that a Dom does. I can't do the same things that John Sandoval does. Not necessarily because I'm not talented. Well, those guys are black belts, of course. They're far superior than me. But maybe body type. John Sandoval admits, he goes, I don't really do a lot of triangles. Why not? It's because he's not the tallest guy. And then you look at Morgan, he's probably doing triangles every day. Jiu-jitsu and kickboxing is adaptable. You can do anything you want on the mat. You can express yourself.
What about those kids that are maybe they're gonna like the work ethic part of, hey, solid foundation, I can go work, I can make some money and learn how to work and try different careers out. Maybe they like the strength training where they say, hey, I got guys who are gonna show me how to lift and do proper technique and I can get stronger. And then they love the tutoring and the values portion. But what if they hear martial arts is a part of it and it scares them off because they're so scared of what they interpret it as violence and they're scared of confrontation. How do we reach those kids and reassure them to just come give it a try?
Well, I think it's a combination. All 4 things are so important. Strength training is going to build your body. You're going to look strong, right? You're going to look strong. So now you become an intimidating individual. People are looking at you like, that's a strong guy. You got a work ethic, right? You're going to be in situations where people are going to be yelling at you or, they might be yelling at you. They might be talking smack to you or whatever. How do you deal with the situation? I don't understand. I'm a big, strong guy. I don't know how to interpret it and mix it up. I feel like martial arts is what connects them all. It gives you the confidence and the ability. I mean, I don't look for a fight. I don't want to look for a fight. But I'll stick up for myself. Because I know that I can fight. You can fight. Without martial arts, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to work, look strong, but not be able to defend yourself. Not just physically defend yourself, but verbally. And the martial arts gives me the ability to verbally defend myself. I'm not afraid of upsetting you for telling you something how I feel. I'm not afraid of expressing myself. I can defend myself, It might, there are kids out there that it's not for them. It's not for them. And we meet them all the time. How many people come into the gym, try the gym, leave the gym? It's not for them. But you should try. Because if I swear by anything, it's swear that martial arts can really help. To me, it cured my anxiety. To me, it gave me a purpose and a job. And it gave me a family. And, I mean, man, you can make all the money in the world. But if the world ended tomorrow, I'm going to take that money with my bare hands. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Well, I appreciate all the knowledge you dropped on us with that, Gus.
It's a cold world, dude. And you know what? I'm really happy to be a part of Paragon. I'm really happy to be a part of this foundation. I think that teenagers need mentors outside of their parents and their high school teachers. I mean, no one wants to talk to their teacher, and more their parents. You know, that's a hard thing to talk to your parent. You, me, Andrew, your brother. I'm not going to talk to you as a teenager, you know, some dumb teenager. I'm going to talk to you like my training partner. I'm going to tell you what the real world is like, and I'm going to tell you suggestions. I'm not going to tell you what to do, because I can't tell anybody what to do, because I'm still learning myself. But I can tell you where I've made a mistake and how you can get a head start on your life, so you don't, you know, you don't become an adult at 25 like me.
And for any teens who may want to get some personal words from you and have questions and about our conversation we had today, is it all right for them to reach out to you?
100%.
Where can they find you?
Anybody can email me. My full name, Gustavo Regali, GUSTAVORIGALI @gmail.com. I mean, like I said earlier, being a coach has opened up so many doors for me. And one of them is like, you know, I like to talk. I'm good at talking. It makes perfect sense. People come to me to train, to work hard, and I get people asking me questions all the time. And it's not martial arts related. I don't know why people ask me about taxes. People ask me about their cars. People ask me about their girlfriends or boyfriends. Like I said, I'm not the smartest guy in the world about that subject, but I can tell you what I did and what I did wrong, because I don't lie. I keep it 100. And anybody can reach out to me at any time. If you feel like you have the most people I'd like to talk to is anybody who feels like they're suffering with that anxiety feeling. Like, that's a killer, man. And it's real easy to go down the wrong hole. You know, then you can say, I'm anxious, this is never going to end, I'm done. And, you know, I've had people, you know, take their lives because of
So
it.
if some grown-ups suffering from anxiety, is it okay for them to email you?
Anybody who wants to talk about how I have cured my anxiety through martial arts, through the friendships that I built through martial arts, you know, and the ways that I medicate, I would love to express that to anybody. So, you know, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to anybody, and I look forward to this program. It's going to be great. And I mean, if you're a teenager and you're out there and you're thinking about this program, give it a try. You don't know it till you try it.
Yep.
And all we're trying to do is just help you guys. We see that there's a lack somewhere. I'm not going to say it's at the school, or I'm not going to say it's with your parents, but
that's just it. Come in so we can all work together to see where it's coming from. And if there is any questions, you could find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And other than that, Gus, I appreciate your time.
Thanks, man. I'm excited, dude. This is going to be good.